Welcome guys. So today we'll be taking the 15th episode of the Built a Web API in ASP.NET Core 3.1 and consume it using an MVC client also in ASP.NET Core. For viewing the completed application in action with a few of the functionalities, please watch the introduction video in part 1 with the link in the description of this video. So in my previous episode, I explained the process of creating the order repository with the initialization of the order repository class and writing the method to get all orders. In this episode, I shall walk you through the process of creating the rest of the methods of the order repository class for the complete set of CRUD operations on the order table. So CRUD means create, retrieve, update and delete operations on the order table. In this series of tutorials, all the episodes will be in continuation from the previous ones, and so is the building of the code base, since it is highly recommended to be up to date with all the previous episodes before viewing this one. The essential links and the SQL scripts you will find in the video description. I will also request you to view the entire video from start to finish in these episodes and skip wherever necessary if you find, and you will get the best out of them this way. As always, every suggestion and feedback are welcome, and please subscribe to this channel and share this channel with friends and click the bell notification icon to get the latest in the uploads. So let's move on to the learning outcomes of what we will learn by the end of this lecture. And by the end of this lecture, we shall learn how to complete all the rest of the CRUD methods, insert, update, delete with the ADO.NET, and complete the get order by ID method, and understand the use of execute non-query method for data manipulation, which we have seen while creating the customer repository, but we'll revise anyway. So let's flip over to Visual Studio again. In the last lecture, I have walked you through the process of writing this method get all orders, which returns a list of orders or IEnumerable type of order. Okay, so let's now concentrate on get order by ID. So let's get rid of this throw new not implemented exception block and start writing our code. So I will create an order object. So order of order type, and then that's using statement, which I have copied to my memory, and I will dump it from the memory or clipboard back over here, and finally we'll return this order. And I will explain. It is exactly the same as we have seen the explanation for the get customer by ID, passing an integer ID. So return order over here. However, let's see again, inspect it closely. So again, the using statement, it starts with a SQL connection object, and it instantiates a SQL connection with a connection string, passing the connection string, which is the string which is pointing to the database in the app settings.json. Okay, so this is the connection string which is initialized with the configuration. This is the app settings file. Okay, now then again within the try block, I have initialized the SQL command object and passed in this stored procedure, the name of the stored procedure, dbo.spselect order by ID, and the connection string, this con. And then I have given the command type to specify that we are looking at a stored procedure for execution, and then open the connection, and then as we have seen earlier, to the command object I have used the parameters property and then the add with values method, and passing the ID parameter from the stored procedure, and the value is ID, which is passed on to the as a parameter to this method get order by ID. And then again switching over to this SQL Server Management Studio and looking at SP select order by ID, So sp select order by ID, where is that? Sp select order by ID. If you look into the stored procedure script, the stored procedure is create to new query editor window. So this is a simple stored procedure that returns an order by ID. So it's a simple select from where clause, and where this ID is taken from the passed in parameter at ID integer, which is nothing but this at ID. Now again, as I've shown you earlier, let us execute sp select order by ID. Execute the stored procedure and passing it an ID. Let's say just any arbitrary value 13, assuming that the ID 13 for the order table exists, order ID, and if it exists then it will show something, otherwise it returns null. Okay, so there is no order with the ID 13. So let's see this table dbo.order, what it returns. So there are 3 orders with ID 11, 39 and 52. So let's see ID equal 11 and click on execute, and it returns the record with the ID of 11 and a customer ID of 16. So it verifies the authenticity of our select stored procedures sp select order by ID, and again a data reader object is initialized with the command objects execute reader method, and while the reader is advancing to the next record, if it is true, reader.read method returns true. That means when it advances the SQL data reader to the next record, when the next record is available, it forms the order object with order.id and order.customer ID, order.description, order.order cost, by suitably casting the reader objects, whatever is returned from the reader, with reader and a pair of this square braces within quotes. These are the columns of this order table: ID, customer ID, description and order cost. So if you look into this order table again, so order table, which are the columns, so ID, customer ID, description and the order cost with the same spelling, right? So it forms this order object, okay, assigning these values. And then you again, there's a mistake, you don't need to close the connection explicitly, and it will automatically close when you leave the using block. So your get order by ID is over, it returns an order object, okay. And if it throws an exception, this catch block will actually log a message into the log file wherever it is specified in the Serilog configuration in the app settings. So this is the app settings file. So this will log it into the ctemp log with the date, current date and .text format, okay, as a text file. Now let's complete the other methods like insert, update and delete. Then I have come to this add order method, and I will get rid of this new not implemented exception and then add the code, which I have again copied from my clipboard, which saves a lot of time, and then just indent it a bit. And again, using SQL connection equals new SQL connection string, and it's now all too obvious because I have repeated it many times. And I've just started writing with an experimentation with logger object.log information could break here, where the potentiality of breaking the code over here. And then I have initialized the SQL command object with a new SQL command using the new operator and passing the dbo.sp insert into order, which is the stored procedure command type.stored procedure, and passing the connection string Okay, and then open the connection, and then with the command.parameter.add with the value at customer ID, at description, at order cost, and within the add with the value method, you expect an object, a string of parameter name, and this is the parameter name, and this is the value. Value is achieved from order.customer ID, order.description, and order cost. Okay, from this order object passed. And then again, there's a mistake. So connection doesn't need to be closed explicitly, it will automatically close. And then command.execute non-query to execute the transact SQL statement against the connection, and it will return the number of rows affected, but which we are not interested, but it actually executes the transact SQL and adds that row to the order table. That's where we are interested. And then if it falls to the catch block, then logger will log the error at the path that I have shown you previously at ctemp log div.txt. And with this statement, error at add order. Okay, and if everything is all right and outside the using statement, it will return the order again. So hopefully you are able to understand this add order method again. And then finally, update order and delete order. So get order by ID is the update order. So let's get rid of this part. So I will just dump the code. This is the update order code, returns the order after the using statement is over, outside the using statement. And again, it's very much just a routine now, because now it is very similar to the add order method, which was similar to add customer method. So the difference being, again, what was the difference? Now this you have to update a particular record. So that record has an ID. So you have to add a parameter. It is asking for a parameters, command.parameter.add with value at ID, which gets from order.id. Okay, from this passed in order, the ID of the passed in order, and then the customer ID passed in order object dot customer ID, similarly order.description at description and at order cost. So let see again, you don't need this connection dot close, and finally outside the using statement, it returns the order, and if there is an exception, it logs the exception into the log file like this, error at update order. Now let's put a Ctrl+Shift+B to build the application, and then we'll inspect the stored procedures, the add method and the update. So build succeeded. Now let's flip over to the SQL Server Management Studio and execute these two stored procedures. SP select customer, SP select order we have seen, SP select order by ID we have seen, SP insert into order. Okay, so let's insert into order by executing the stored procedure, and it will of course tell you so that these are the values that it is wanting, either pass the null value or pass a value. So customer ID, now it has to have a customer in order for the because an order is already associated with a customer. So if you pass a customer ID that doesn't exist, then it will not be updated. Let's see what happens. By passing any arbitrary value, say 4. Okay, I don't know whether the 4 customer ID 4 exists or not. So test, let's write test update, and order cost, say this is decimal, and let's see what happens. So insert statement conflicted with the foreign key. So that means this error says a lot, because it says FK order customer, the conflict occurred in the database web API db.customer column ID. Okay, that means this customer ID doesn't exist. So let's see which are the customer IDs available so that we can make an order for that customer. So let's see the customer table for a second. Select top 1000 rows. So we have got customer IDs 13, 16, 17. So you can create the order for any of these customers. Say order for a customer ID 17. Okay. So order for customer ID 17. Let's create an order for customer ID 17 and then hit execute. It should be all right. Now this time it is all right. And then if you look into this order table, so dbo.order, select top 1000 rows and look into customer ID 17. So customer ID 17 is here and it has got test update, order cost this. All right. So we have been able to update the order table with a proper customer which exists. Okay. And then finally the SP insert into order. This one, okay. SP insert into order, SP update order. All right. What we have tried, insert into order already we have tried. So SP update order and dbo.sp update order, execute stored procedure. Let's update the order for this same customer ID 17. Okay, so I don't know the ID, customer ID says 17. Okay, description again updated, order cost also 111.21. Let's see what happens without supplying the ID. Parameter at ID which was not supplied. So I need to supply an ID, the order ID. Okay, so order ID was 54 for this customer ID 17. So order ID, okay, let's again execute it by clicking right click and execute stored procedure. So ID 54, order ID was 54 for this customer ID 17, and this update again, and this time write whatever you want to, and then click on OK. And this time there is no error. So now if you look into this order table, where was the order table? So test update. Okay, let's execute this update again. Okay, with a new order cost. So insert and update order, these stored procedures run all right. So finally we are left with the delete order method. So I am into the delete order method. Now I have to complete this and get rid of this stub and then dump the code which I have already on my notepad. Now this time it is executing sp delete order. Okay, and the same thing again, connection.close is not required. So command type stored procedure again, and then connection is opened, and then a parameter, a ID parameter is added, which is @ID, and its value is achieved from the passed in ID parameter, and then execute non-query is called because it is a delete procedure. Okay, and again
If it is throws an exception, then logger will log this error at delete order. And then again, let's see this sp delete order in action. Sp delete order. So sp delete order. Now execute this stored procedure. Now this is expecting an ID at ID. So this is this at ID external parameter. Okay. So we have seen there is a ID, order ID that we have created for a customer ID 17. The order ID was, if I remember correctly, 54. So let us see, pass this and click on OK. It should delete this order. All right. So now if we look into this order table, I think better right click and edit top, or select top 1000 rows. Sorry. Order. Okay. Now if you execute this query, so there is no ID of 54, no order ID 54 corresponding to a customer ID 17, which has already been deleted. So in this tutorial, I have completed all of the stored procedures that were left from the last lecture, and I have completed the create, update, delete, and retrieve by ID from the order table.